Tonight, we're diving into the fine art of being boss and a blessing, how to flex your personal power without forgetting the people.
Streaming now on LOL. Stay tuned.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show, the equal parts high vibe and hot take. I'm psychic astrologer Sensei Christopher Wotecki, the Sensei to SeriousJoy.com.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with ScottCruzPM.com. What a interesting wave of a week this was, huh, Christopher?
It's been another interesting week. Yep.
Yeah.
Especially around balancing personal power with humanity. We have some news headlines that'll happen, but even for me, I had to say that my week was incredibly transformative, I would say. So far. It's only Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but from this Wednesday, last Wednesday. Seriously, since we've been on the air that week.
The last 7 days. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like too. I feel like from the last 7 days, like I was coming to tail end off of an extraction. Almost felt like a tooth extraction, but it was a soul extraction. And then this last 7 days has been kind of like a nice coasting of that. You know, almost like a reward of what I extracted. So I've been feeling a nice current. You know, the past 7 days.
I've been in the extraction.
Okay,
I'm a week behind you on that one, but and it has to do with heart stuff. It has to do with Leo heart stuff, where ultimately I let my heart down. I set myself for my heart to be let down, and like the trick was like getting to where I let my own heart down inside myself. That was where the like mystery was, and then my body has gone through a total like follow through, which is release and you know, making the bathroom my best friend.
I was going to say, have you been purging?
Pretty much purging. Yeah, purging's it. And purging old stuff. And I think I'm ahead because I think that's going to be what most people do in Virgo. I think there's going to be a lot of purge in Virgo. We have 2 eclipses coming up, and Virgo, like consciousness, is going to do like a C-section and like take out an old and put in a new. Because we have an event on the 1st, an event on the 15th, step 15, and an event on step 29. So it's like 1, 15, 29. It's like literally the beginning, middle, and end all have like a snip, snip, tuck, tuck. And that's going to be the change of a whole new reality. And I think that's what I was really starting on already. So I can eyewitness report to you. Exactly.
I see helicopter in the air, the body swinging, like, oh, he's going. He's good. But,
airlifted out of my bathroom.
Right, exactly. But you know, I feel like if we take advantage of the Leo energy, like of the heart, then we can use the precision of the Virgo energy when it comes to us. You know, so I think we should look at this like alchemy when we have these different seasons that we can take advantage of in the currents, collective currents, and how to use this magical energy to formulate what we're trying to accomplish. You know, so I agree. Virgo energy, we should be preparing, saying, okay, it's come from the heart. This way, when Virgo season comes around, we can use that precision to put things back together. And so, I think it's important. The astrology, thanks to you, because I wasn't so versed in astrology until I met you, and I'm like, there really is a nice heads up about like what we're doing and why with the astrology, not just the psychic reasons. So it's good that we can follow those trends. Yeah, no, I mean, it saved my life and my sanity because there are certain, cycles and circles that humans go through, and these always cycle like the seasons. They always cycle, but they have to do with your consciousness cycling. And we don't know what it's going to be, but we know what part of ourselves is going to go down, Right. I actually think for me, the Leo breakdown for me, it was right just shy of my moon on step 20 Leo. And my moon's 21, which is where I'm at today. The sun's on my moon. So it's my, solar conjunction with my moon. So I feel good today. But when the sun just gets close to your moon like that, the moon will pop. Like any emotion you're holding will sort of pop because you're being restored. Here I am popping right now on camera. Here we go. I have to be careful what I say. So hold it in. I actually think, but the Leo stuff is the heart of the matter. And the heart of the matter is the most painful. That's what you don't want to look at. That's what you don't want to think about or relive, or you're afraid of reliving. So, getting that core bad, whatever out, and just letting it be gone, and helping the heart to go on. The heart heals really well, but it's and very fast, but it's for some reason really scary to look in. Well, it's passion, you know what I'm saying? So even anger is passion, joy is passion. It's all passion. Yeah. So I think that if we actually can see how passionate we are, we might be able to look at things a little differently and execute things a little differently, because people are afraid of just passion, and when you're angry, and I actually talk about it tomorrow, but we'll get into that later. But like, we're angry about something, there's something that we love behind it that's not being nurtured. And the only way to figure that out is going to the heart, saying what part of my heart is being deprived, what part of my heart is not being nurtured. So that anger could actually be a huge messenger for us and all the range of emotions. So we should say we actually are really passionate beings. Without, people just assume passion just means like, oh, I'm in a career. It's like, no, passion is intense emotion.
Yeah, and emotion is an energy we don't understand. I mean, I'm teaching my Intro to Step Astrology course at SeriousStory.academy, and it's the first time I put Step Astrology in a whole format like this. And we're at step 2 right now. I'm going to teach step 2 tomorrow. And step 2 is I feel. And the I feel state of awareness is like a super awareness. Your emotions are like this energy that flows around you and through everyone else's and back to you. And so it's like a mesh net. It's like a psychic mesh net. And what we don't realize is that when we emote, we put a wave out there, and their waves hit waves. And so there's a lot of energetic back and forth going on, all because each individual is not really grounded in their own feelings. So this is the part of being human that we're really trying to now wake up to. When you talk about the big wake-up call, as simple as it may sound, it's really just waking up to really our feelings and their power and what their potential is.
And knowing your calling, right? So wake-up call is like, yeah, waking up, but then you understand your calling. So even that sounds cliche too, but calling is like where you're supposed to be expressing yourself. Because the cliche remark, like what you're looking for is looking for you too. It's like the whole fantasy of like there's something looking for you, but it's more about the alignment and what are you aligning with and what's aligning with you. And a lot of times we're being shown that and we dismiss it, because we don't understand what it is intellectually, but the heart can actually guide us intellectually how to align with those things that we thought are impossible or not truly versions of ourselves. But that realization is huge.
Well, you just said Aquarius. You just said Aquarius. I mean, the Leo is the heart. If you cut away a heart cell and then move it over to another heart, it'll start like synchronizing with that other heart.
Right.
Like heart cells are designed to synchronize and like beat together. And Aquarius is when, the Aquarius waves to me are like two hearts that beat as one. Really, it's like when you are in the same heartbeat with each other. That's what the. I know. I was waiting for it.
Two of hearts.
Two hearts that beat as one. But it's true. That's probably what's in my head. Even it's because it was drilled in my head with music. But that's Aquarius. Aquarius is when we organize according to our heart and what we beat with and what we don't beat with, and and not beat it. Like we don't have to be mean to the one heart that doesn't agree with us.
Michael Jackson, just beat it. Exactly. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the age of Aquarius in a nutshell. I mean, but the end of Leo this week is about stepping into your personal dreams. And the thing about this is, I don't know if people realize this, but your personal dreams are going to be what determines if the earth heals. Like the more people that pursue their dreams, I don't care if it's to open a carnival in the middle of a swamp, the more what it is, like whatever the fuck it is, the fact that you're Google over it is going to set out such great waves to the world. It's time. And the technology's there. So what I mean by that is like so much technology, like to help you like create miracles right now from AI and all this stuff, like all these crazy tools. Right. Really, this is almost like the Wright brothers in the airplane. Like this is another moment where like human beings, the average person can invent some cool shit that no one thought of and just change the whole world. So it's definitely time to go for your dreams. Like try it. Yep. Why not?
Right. Right. Yeah. Now I was going to say like this last week is about owning it. Because if you've been doing the work, you've been realizing it, and now this last week should own it so we can put it together and put it into action. And I like you said, even if it's a carnival in the middle of a swamp, it's like, well, no one's doing that. And could there be any need or value for that? Like, could someone, and so I think that if we allow ourselves to take it a little bit step further and say how it could provide value, that's where it becomes rational to us. We think of something out of the box. I don't know if I can do it, and isn't people going to love it? Just to say, well, what would be valuable to other people about it, right? And I mean, squatty potty. Like, there's some woman thought an idea of like, I'm going to put a little stool when I shit, and that's going to be worth a lot of money. Went on Shark Tank, got a deal. She's a multimillionaire from squatty potty or poopery. These ideas that are crazy, but they made them a lot of money, and they were very passionate about it because they saw it brought value to people. So to me, the key is, how does it bring value? How can you bring that value? And then it becomes rational where you're like, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah. And, in step astrology, I materialize, or the sense of what value is when you take something you love, step 1, and you add space, time, and protection to it. Right. You value when you add space, time, and protection to it, someone else is going to value it also, at least one person. Right. So it's a time, and we'll go into that. I think this next year, I think that, predicting for the rest of the year, it's going to get really rough in the sense that, people are just going to get, I think, extremely passionate, use your words,
Yeah.
about what their heart really wants. I think we're kind of had enough and we want what we want. And so there's going to be a push where a lot of people are going to be, racing to do something they want, I think, in the fall, and just like saying F it to government and F it to the headlines. And then some people are going to be sort of drugged to the headlines and drugged to the coals, but those people are learning to put their heart first. So there's always that crop.
Yeah. Yeah. We're seeing that. We're totally seeing that right now.
And that
Collectively.
brings us, we have some headlines actually to sort of like talk about this week, just for our psychic comments on it. So I guess tensions are escalating in Ukraine ahead of the Putin summit in Alaska. So I'm not even sure what the full story is on that, but I just think it was interesting to look into psychically and astrologically. The Ukraine thing is like, I don't know, there's something weird about it. There's something weird about that whole, and God bless the people dying. God bless. I do think, I don't mean to sound cold, but I know the way it works. You don't die unless you signed up to die in heaven. Like there's no accidents at all.
Sure.
And I'm not cold, but there's no accidents. So, and I've been told time and time again, in fact, I just had someone tell me a near life death experience. And this is like the third time I've heard this, that when they actually died, they didn't feel any pain. They went straight into their soul. Mm-hmm. And I keep hearing that over and over again. So like when someone gets shot or whatever, like you see on TV, what I hear is your soul gets pulled out before you feel that. You don't feel that.
Yeah. Well, that we release DMT. That's what DMT is, right? So when you die, DMT fills your brain. You thought this euphoric experience, especially when we're incarnating. The release of DMT makes it an easier transition for us. But I agree. And so, yeah, I agree. And we've all understand the parameters of our karma and how we go in and come out. And so, but I agree with you, the weirdness of the Ukraine thing. Without getting overly political about it, though, something feels planned prior. Like I feel like this has all been kind of a scheme prior with Putin, Trump, and all his, whatever. I'm not going to get
premeditated. Feels premeditated.
Right. It feels like, it definitely feels like the Monopoly game for global shit, right? And so,
Monopoly. Yeah. Okay. I feel that too. And, guys, we're not political, but we're here to bring the spiritual into the political. So it has a little balance, has a little like context. That's not what you're told. And I agree. There's something fishy about this Ukraine thing and even the Putin thing. All of it just doesn't feel right psychically. There's something we don't know. But I do know this. It's like the idea of people really suffering badly. From what I'm seeing in all my psychic evidence, that doesn't allow to happen. Like we don't have that trauma actually hit us as a soul. It's horrible. It's gore. It's, it's bloody. It's bad. It shouldn't happen. Yes. But the people choose to go. And that's the way it is. They do choose to go for whatever reason. Maybe they're trying to make a statement. Maybe they're trying to add to a cause, It depends on the soul.
But so, again, like you said before, right? It's like a video game. So the same thing, if we choose a certain challenge or we have to experience a certain lesson, those are parameters to which we experience that. So the soul's equipped. I kind of reminds of the biblical text, God would not give you anything you can't bear, right? And so the soul knows I'm experiencing this version of reality because of the soul illusion. So when I look at how that's shifting around collectively, I'm like, it makes sense why we're all kind of telling this bigger story based on where we're at individually. So, but we still, and I want the people listening, we still have to understand what the codes are to evolution and growth and what to fight against still too, right? And so that's part of our mission. But yeah, I think that, when we look at politics today, it's not so much about the politics, it's more so about how we're evolving. Where's the breakthrough moment? Because things are breaking down. You and I both said, Christopher, that Trump is a disruptor on purpose, so we can break things down, like on the spiritual sense, which I believe, and it's caused us to rise up. Yeah.
Yes. God always chooses a useful idiot. I think ultimately, disturb the peace in order to find, it's like that decoy you see in like TV shows. There's always a decoy kind of energy, and that's necessary. Yeah. There has to be something absurd happening for you to be willing to open up for any kind of change. You need something absurd to happen, something absolutely absurd. So it's a common like plot trick. And so at the big picture of things, I personally believe that we're living in a game right now. I personally believe we're in heaven right now playing a video game. And we choose these roles and it's fun and we learn from them. And so if that's the case, we're all taking everything way too seriously because it's not that serious, I don't feel, at the big picture of things. But you have to have faith to know that. There's another story that's similar. So UK is raising fears about ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the impact of famine of the Palestinians. That's just not fucking cool in the sense, I don't know. You shouldn't let anyone starve to death. Jesus Christ. Well, maybe not Jesus Christ in this case, but you know what I'm saying? Like that is a horrible thing. I don't know why people would want to sign up for that lesson on either side, But what surprises me is just how there doesn't seem to be, regardless, eating food. There seems to be no decency still, like in the world. Like I thought we were heading towards more chivalrous fighting, but there's no decency. It's
Well,
really
no, but I mean, the title of our show, I mean, there's a lot of people who are abusing their power, and it's all about, it's kind of like the Bush era, me, me, me. And so we have a similar trend going on in politics, me, me, me energy. It's only matters if it starts affecting them, right? And so I think a lot of this is just showing about abuse of power. And a lot of these, just to simplify what's going on in politics and the global arena, it's really kind of abuse of power and who can outpower the next. And so, and there's just a lot of that going on. But, again, the veil is being lifted. You can see people waking up to this. You can see people not buying it anymore,
I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And actually, I feel like, here's the thing. A me has too much power because another me didn't demand theirs. The only reason why people get away with power is because people give it away. I mean, we're not going to be able to like get our arms around it from the we perspective. The chance of you being president or being the richest person in the world or any of these other places that have like crazy power, the chance of that is very little. What's more likely is that every me says, I want my me, at least my me. And that everyone demands their me, because there's a lot of people giving up their me's to make these takes on greater we, and they have to stand up. And that might be the lesson, is to stand up for whatever reason. A lot of us are brainwashed from Christian Judaism programming where you give yourself up for the Lord. I mean, why would your dad want you to give yourself up for him? It doesn't make any sense the way religions were set up, and we all bought it and we all worshiped. I think worship is hokey. Like what? Why would my creator want me to bow to him or her? I don't get that. Like that makes no sense.
I would say the same thing too, or my as being a physical man and saying my own, if I had a child, would I like want them to burn in all hell because they didn't believe in me because I was hiding from them? I'm hiding from you. You can't find. We're playing hide and seek. You're going to burn in all hell because you didn't find me. Like it's just there's a lot of that subservient self-condemnation energy. Yeah, that is in our collective consciousness, and it evolved from religion to politics, and even in the New Age communities of saying like I'm saying the wrong things to the universe, and almost like the universe is punishing you, and so it's evolved now, and even in the spiritual communities that I think that now we're starting to recognize, even with that no, it's really all about what we design on our core, not so much what else someone else is going to provide for us. And so I think Trump, in the spiritual sense, is that disruptor to resurrect and to rally people up to realize this, that we should not be putting people in control of our own personal individual lives and collectively, so it's a good time. A lot of people, it's hard for a lot of people, and a lot of people's crutches are being pulled away, and I understand that. But for us who are spiritual, it's a good time for us because we actually get to see that change. We see that growth, within people, and that's an exciting part of these times for me.
I know how it turns out, which is good. I know it turns out beautiful and good. I've heard it from the Palladians through Wendy Kennedy. I've heard it through other people who channel sources like Metatron. We've already there apparently. Like it's already been done, and we're still catching up to the actual film. The film's been shot. It's just still in the camera and it's still coming out. So I know how it turns out. I've always felt that. I've come to terms with that with myself, and I'm putting all my money on that square. A lot of this is about learning and processing and following through. And I'm always amazed, like even over this weekend, like the processing I had about my life, me as a leader and helping people understand, I had profound wake-up calls all the time where I was just like, wow, was I not seeing it for what it is? Like, so I think for all of us, we're all in this huge wake up to who we are and what's real. I think we just need to exercise a little compassion and patience and see how it unfolds.
Yeah. And I agree. I totally agree with that.
So you're right. We're talking about the balancing power and serving humanity. And we're doing a new game called Me or We.
So I didn't invite you that direction.
So this game goes like, we're going to list a scenario and we're both going to decide, how to find the we in this situation and where the me in the situation. And basically, what would you do in this situation? And it's just us kind of like learning how to toe the line between both. Because apparently people just don't know how to figure that out. How to get a win-win, basically. That's another way of looking at this. How do you get a win-win where both parties are winning? And that's what we need to be thinking about, because there's always win-win solutions there if you look hard enough. And if you don't look hard enough, you're not creative and you're not trying, honestly. Even with Palestine and Israel, there's a win-win there that neither side may be seeing, or one side is seeing and not the other. I don't know, but nonetheless. So here's one. You tell us first, buddy. You're offered a promotion that would double your income, but it requires relocating away from your community work. So you're going to have to leave your volunteering to go make some money.
Well, I think, again, in this part, it's if I've been spending a lot of time devoting myself to community work, and I've been depriving myself, like expressing my talents and skill sets are to provide better service, I would actually go and take the whatever double promotion to kind of reposition myself to do more, right? Because I feel like, and it depends where you're coming from, right? And so in this context, I would go off and I would plan to utilize the resources that I've gotten, that I doubled my income with, to reinvest into doing more of my mission work, or do more of what I want to do on a grander scale. So to me, that would kind of be a sacrifice to me actually to do that.
Yes, I agree. I think it's possible in both ways. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of a master at this, I think, already. Like, I've already spent 19 years giving away tons of time to the public while making money at the same time. I think you can do it both ways. I think you have to have both ways, honestly, because really that giving is the investment back. Like, if you don't invest back into the garden, if you don't put fertilizer back in the ground, you're not going to grow, really ripe big vegetables and have big yields. So consciously, when you give back, I mean, that's the whole point of giving back. That's what the church was trying to tell us when we were giving to the church, but we weren't giving back because they were taking it and doing, child trafficking, shit like that. So it's like, that wasn't really giving back, but we thought we were under that law. We thought we were investing that way. And so I think that that's the way to do it. You always want to be able to invest. So yeah, if you move away from the one group, that just tells me God's saying, oh, you got new people over here. Hopefully your work takes on its own fire. Usually what happens is God replaces you with someone else in the old community.
Yeah, I mean, but we also have to understand our power too, what it requires, because sometimes we might be in one aspect of using our power, but like, again, Spirit's calling you to expand out of that too, to go do greater difference, while somebody else will come in and fill your place. Like, there's a cycle of this.
Totally.
When we understand that, we're not leaving anything behind. We're evolving as someone else can evolve into that position, and they will evolve. It's a cycle in this way. So I think it's important to understand like how you can utilize your power to your best ability, and that promotion could be a gift from Spirit. So people might look at that as like, oh, but that's like self-righteous. Like, how do you know that's not a gift from Spirit? To say, here's a promotion to do more and to move forward and to relocate to a newer environment. You can make bigger change.
Here's what's going to flip our producer's lid. It's like, if you go for the more money, it's because you did the community work. That's why the money came. The money came because you invested in the community work. So for you not to take the money would be you not accepting a reward for the hard work you put in. It's a cycle. I think they're tied together. I think, very rarely, I mean, someone who's doing community work in the first place is already a we. You know what I mean? The me's don't even do community work. They do community time. So
if you're doing a we, you have to make sure you put a me in there too. It's got to be both aspects on that.
That's been my problem. A lot of times I don't do the me, and then my me gets pissed, and I over me. You
overindulge in the me, and then the we gets kind of imbalanced.
Like a fucking scooter shotter. Yeah, that's Pluto Libra, Jet X. All right, so here's the next one. You get credit for an idea that was actually a group effort. Who gives you credit? I don't know.
I'm laughing because people always usually get credit for things I've done. So and I always have to sit back and watch
That's interesting.
Things I've done. Yeah, I've had that experience.
Well, I think, first of all, credit is kind of silly because it's like, I'm always humble about it and just say, first of all, even an idea of yours is not yours. It's a collective consciousness, and you downloaded it first and did it first. So it's not, no one even owns an idea. God's thought of everything already. So I feel like I look at this idea as community real estate to begin with. And so I'll take credit for what credit's due. It's like, hey, this group had the idea and I ran the touchdown. Like I took their idea to home. It's a balance. It's a group. It is always a group effort no matter what happens. But people always want to give credit to the one person because we're stuck in this idea of of miracles, and saints, and that's not really how it is.
Well, I mean, but there's certain things where it does come to creativity comes from one person. Like no one could take credit for the theme song I wrote, right? Because I did it myself. That was my creation, right? So there's certain things.
I'm kidding.
There's certain things that where it really is one's individual creation. But but if I would never take the credit for something somebody else did, especially like you and I, the messages that we teach, we're doing it in our own styles. But the messages has all been out there forever. But I'll take credit for my style, but not for what's been in the ethers for so long. But I think again, people have to understand as well as if you're taking credit for what someone else created, that's also being very me, not very we. So you should always, illuminate the highlight of someone who did make it. Like you create Serious Joy, right? In the beginning, it was your idea, it was your conception idea. It's not like someone else's credit for your conception of what your creation is. So, then the we part comes in people helping to assist and the working and all that stuff. Right. So, but you were the creator of the network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I take pride in it in the sense of it was my wacky idea, and the truth is, I think also you go through lifetimes where it's your turn. Like you spend, I think, many boring, slow lifetimes where you're just doing nothing and you're just kind of like learning about yourself, learning aspects of yourself. And there are these hit lifetimes, and these hit lifetimes are where all your talent finally comes out into a bloom, into expression that seems greater than life because you spent many lifetimes setting up for it, not because you yourself are remarkable, but you can do something remarkable over a long-term investment. And I think that's what a lot of things are when people, do great things.
But I also see too that if we're all God, fragments of God experiencing itself from different perspectives and different experiences, well, then God would love to marvel at his creation and be like, look what I did.
Oh, yeah.
Not in ego, but in appreciation, like,
Love.
wow, I had the power to do this. So we have to also allow ourselves to appreciate what we create and understand what we've done and have that reveling in that as well. I mean, because otherwise we don't want to deprive God of his own creation in a sense, so don't deprive ourselves of our creations either.
There's a shine. That's the sun and the Leo and the shine. Like we're in the sun of Leo. What the sun is just a bright star. It's not getting any energy from anything. It doesn't even know if the planets are around it, I think. It basically is hot and shiny, whether or not you show up. It's hot.
Yeah.
And that's because it's eating itself at the core of fusion. It's like it can't get enough of itself. There is that moment where you have to celebrate who you are. When I watch some of my TV stuff that I do, I love it. I sit there and just I can't stop watching. I'm happy with it. It's who I want to be. I like marveling at what I've done for myself. I don't even notice or care if other people have liked it a lot of times. It was for me. And it's for me, mostly. It was for me to see if I could do it and get a kick out of what I could do, A project deadline can be met if you overwork yourself or if you slow down to bring the whole team along. Okay, I see. This is an interesting one. This is a leadership question. So the me or the we, like, do you slow down to bring the whole team along or you overwork yourself and finish a job?
Well, of course, it depends on the project. I mean, so it's kind of it's a broad thing to just in that way. But, I feel like for me, if I have a team with me, the team is also for me, right? They're participating. So it's a benefit for me too, but it's also a benefit for them to have me as well. Right. So I feel like in that collective energy, it's like you might want to take the time to do things, effectively, but sometimes you got to speed things up. Sometimes it's gonna be that one person that can guide a little quicker. So I think in this case, if you can balance the me with the we by saying, hey, we can accelerate things. I could participate and understand my role with the team, but also allow them at their own pace to follow through too. That's what we can bring the balance in with that. But again, like that's not, if you're part of a team and you're only seeing your own perspective on deadline and stuff, then you're not being you're being more me. So
I think honestly, the deadline's too late. Like if your team's not there for you seamlessly, you fucked up already. And you better just get that thing, turned in. You know what I mean? Like I think it's about timing and ideally, I mean, honestly, it's serious joy. Like we have started hiring people over a year ago, and we're just now at the point where the team can take over without me. It took that long just to learn, get systems down in place. Like, team effort takes a lot of we time, but until then, it's a lot of me's wearing a lot of hats, and that's just how you do it. So I think it's like a hybrid. Like the me's have to all perform like crazy until the we's can kind of gel.
Yeah. Well, and then also people who are watching shouldn't be all about me either and critique things
That's
they
true.
don't like because there's change. I see a lot of people just critique free content a lot of times with other YouTube channels, yours channels. I just see people just critiquing things that's like, you're sitting there consuming things for free. Why is it all about you? Do you understand? If you thought about you don't understand what it takes for people to put on free content for you. So there's a lot of people even on the other side of things are all on the me perspective. It's like, but what if you had to put asking the person observing, what if you had to put a network together? What if you had to put all these content together and create ideas and topics for people off the blue and talk about it all the time? How would you feel about that? Would you be so critical if you had to do the same? And so we have to, even on the other side of things, understand the we mentality. So therefore, we're not overly critical of people and being selfish because we're not getting what we want from free content.
Well, and the people who complain are the people who are unhappy with themselves. I mean, one thing I've learned is that if someone's really critical of you, they're more critical of themselves, and they have already criticized themselves into nothingness. The people who really can do something and not criticize themselves are off doing stuff. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Right, but people really enjoy it. Will give it comes from a good place of saying like, "Oh, I love you. Do this. Do more of this," and they would just be more encouraging, not so much complaining. So we have to understand when we're participating in others' creations, are you in the me or we energy too? And so a lot of me's out there.
That's true. It's all about me. Yeah. I
because
have
it's all at
learned
their
to.
disposal, right? It's all at their fingertips. They feel like because it's all there for them, they have a right to just, bash whatever they don't like, and
My issue is like other people's opinions of their opinions. Like, so I myself understand the nature of it, and I understand, whether you like it or don't like it, you're watching. So I've made my dollar, and I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, my Taurus in me is just like, you're showing up every week and complaining. At least you're showing up every week. Like, I don't like to hear it. Like, so I don't let it get to me. I don't let it get to me at all. And I understand that people are really, 3 fingers pointing back is 1 point forward kind of thing. But when my business partner starts siding with them, or people start using it as an excuse or an example of why I'm not doing well, then I get pissed. I'm like, wait, no. Like, we're not going to use the public's opinion as the holy grail of truth, especially when you're a spiritual show and you're supposed to trigger and help people grow.
Right.
So I'm going to, pissing people off is a good way to get them moving. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. So I've never had a problem with it.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, it's good to see who's on board and who's not on board, because, as long as we know we're standing in our power, like the topic of the show is tonight, if as long as we're staying and knowing our power and we come into that me zone, then we can take that, criticism and use to our benefit, or understand where we really do need to go, where that's not, where we're growing out of. And so that's where we have to be really me focused and knowing our power, because as people try to pick at it, we'll know, no, I'm setting my boundaries now, and that usually happens because we've been in the we too much about everybody else, what everybody else wants, doing for everybody else, and then we start becoming me focused. People who are selfish don't like it. They don't like it.
I always see it Aquarius too. Like, I mean, honestly, just Aquarius is, there's like one size for everyone gets their own thing. And so when there's stuff out there I see on TV, stuff on TV and stuff or whatever, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't watch this. I think to myself, but there's people who need this. Like, there must be people who need this. If it's on the air, there must be people who need this, and I'm okay with that. I go into what I need. I was like, apparently people need this. That's fine.
Right. Yes.
I hope that's the way people treat us. Like, apparently people need this. You finally have a quiet night planned for your self-care, but your friends call crying and ask you to come over.
Oh my God, that's like
that's the worst for him.
Daily occurrence. That was all the time. Like, all right, just when I sat down and had my smorgasbord, I'm like, I get the phone call. I'm like, all right, what do you want? So no, that's a daily. I won't say daily, but that's a common occurrence for me. I always drop what I'm doing because I see it as that. I have every night, so many nights where I sit down and do my own timing. And so, that one time a friend might need me, I'm like, it's going to be all about them because, they need support. And so that's what life is about. My life isn't about watching Golden Girls and having smorgasbord. My life, or watching The Office and smorgasbord. My life is about contributing to society and contributing to people and expressing that love. So yes, that friend that will call up, I will actually put my smorgasbord aside, put it back on the fridge with a little bit of frustration, and attend to their needs.
Yes, I've mostly done that. I actually went too far in that direction. And so now I've gone, no, I did. I was way too far. I wasn't getting things done. I lost hours. I mean, I think the reason I have promised being late is to some degree how many people I stop for and give that time to that's not in the schedule, Now I'm kind of like moving more towards the me because I'm pissing off other we's that I'm in teams and partnership with because I was stopping for the unqualified we. So it's complicated. But I think it's like ideally it has to be like a me, a we, a me, a we, a me, a we. Like if anything, it's to be 50-50, and you just got to keep counting and keep going.
Nobody want a wee. Nobody wants a wee.
All right. Well, I guess it's time for us to move on. We got to move on to our commercial break now, and here's some topics from our sponsors. Let's roll.
Do you love your weekly tea time with Christopher? Then you'll love him spilling more tea over at SeriousJoy.com with a series of tea time vibe videos that help you better connect with each state of awareness. From step 0, I protect, to step 11, I become. So grab yourself a cup of tea and get to know Step Astrology with a subscription to Serious Joy.
I actually think I heard the Audio Jungle sound clip in that first commercial. You can hear Audio Jungle. I think maybe it's the wrong version on that. You didn't hear that?
Oh, I didn't hear that. No. So like an editor said something and they left it in there?
You know, you get the sample and it's like Audio Jungle. Like every 2 seconds, Audio Jungle.
Gotcha.
Like
I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
Okay.
So sorry, Audio Jungle.
I tuned out. That's why.
Gotcha. Well, anyways, yeah, tea time is Serious Joy. Every tea time I made, we saved, and I have that as a whole, whole library of tea times, which are little moments of wisdom at seriousjoy.com. Part of what you get when you subscribe. So things have been kind of shifty. We already talked about this a little bit already. We have Mars in Libra since last Wednesday. We have Aquarius full moon last Saturday. That Aquarius full moon was pretty tough, I would say. It was pretty sharp and splitting. Mercury went direct on Monday, so he finally became on cross-side. Venus conjoined Jupiter yesterday on Tuesday. That was like wake up and smell the coffee kind of day. And right now we have Venus is trining Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. So you might be having a lot of fear, trauma, and diarrhea coming up. That said, we're wrapping up the Sun in Leo, and that means that we're facing our heart's desire. So I think that people are now kind of like weary and wandering out of their, hangout where they've been in Leo, and we're starting to kind of wake up and move towards what our heart wants. And this is right before Virgo, where we have to get our shift together. So it's going to be sort of back to school, get your shift together time next week in Virgo. And like we said, it's a whole Virgo swap out. So it's kind of like, it's one of those Virgo years where you take everything out of the garage, you throw half of it away, half of it at least, and the garage is half empty when you're done. So we're like clearing out. This is going to be a huge clearing out Virgo season. What do you pick up on, Scott?
Well, last week, I really feel like it was testing communication, primarily with relationships. So I feel like a lot of the communication, those who've been doing the work are really starting to find the me in the situation and what they really deserve, again, coming from the heart, not to sound too redundant, but that's what's going on. And so I've been seeing in a lot of relationships being affected by this, not just romantic relationships, friendships, as well as, close family member relationships. These things have been happening to where communication has been kind of separating the two, or the lack of need to have better communication. So moving forward, using your heart, it's time to understand that we don't go too far out in the heart. We go overly woo-woo, because I've been finding people really diving into unnecessary spiritual modalities to cope with the fear or to cope with the fragmentation and making impulsive decisions. Now's not the time to make an impulsive decision. Now's the time to make the decision from the heart, from within. That's truly what you need, not what you think that you need to pacify the circumstances that have been fragmented and heavy. So we need to be more conscious right now and more in a state of organization intellectually, but also energetically. So we understand whatever has been fragmented the past couple of weeks, we can actually piece together our own participation in it, what we need from others to participate, if anything, and then also understand what you said before, the balance between the me and the we. This way, again, when Virgo season comes around, we could be more strategic, more surgical, and more directive of how we can actually place those things and put them into action. And so those relationships right now that are fragmented, that are going, this will be a test of whether it's going to be locked in forever or actually time to separate and try to disconnect from it. So a lot of people are starting to find that separation. A lot of people find that real true connection because of that fragmentation.
So you're saying people are splitting up.
Well, there's been a splitting energy for observation, right, between relationships. So it might be causing the relationship to bond and to grow stronger and really solidify it for the future, or the complete opposite, where it's actually showing that it needs to be a separation, a complete disconnect moving forward.
Right. Well, we have a solar eclipse on 15 degrees Pisces, which is, halfway through the Virgo season, full moon solar eclipse. And what that is going to be really a moment where we reboot, if you will, I think, all relationships. So that seems to be that 15-degree full moon in Pisces is going to be the snap, the final cut of those final breaking point of those relationships. It's literally, we have a new moon on step 1, full moon on step 15, new moon on step 29. So we get a new beginning and we get a new end, and we cut out the relationships in the middle. And that's what's that?
I said, well, slap me silly and call me psychic then.
I know, you can feel it. Well, I think these are officially, this is the final round with certain spiritual teams. I feel like when we come down with a mission, which is a spiritual mission, which can be determined in the natal chart, by the way. I have a secret how in my class. But at the end of the day, we know what they are. And we're doing now a do-si-do, bow to your partner and find a new partner. Like I think in most cases, new partnerships forming, new alliances forming. And this is going to be the fun one. This is going to be your pals. These are going to be all your most fun friends. Even dark people are going to have a great time. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to find their dark friends. I'm not kidding. There's a lot of allies in heaven, in the company of heaven, where we sign up for these cool events. And one of the events is the Ascension of Earth. And we've been planning this event for a long time. A lot of our past lives are all geared towards this one. We're going to pick our favorite friends, and they all start kind of coming in and coming out, through the end of the year. And so there's a lot of changing of the guard and partnerships and that sort of thing between now and December.
Yeah. Well, in layman's terms, it's just finding your true tribe.
Yeah, the one you've always wanted. You had to first know what you wanted. That was the problem,
Well, and the imposters are going. The ones that were stand-ins, they're going, and you're starting to recognize that. So, on both aspects, and so don't be impulsive during this time of fragmentation. And a lot of that impulsion can bring up a lot of anger too. But I'm actually talking about this tomorrow on my live show. That anger could be a gateway. Anger as a gateway. And so, how can we take that anger that we have or resentments that we have and turn to something fruitful, turn to something powerful, or actually direct us in the direction that we say we want to be? So I'm talking about that tomorrow on my live show, as I do every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So join me live. I will also be doing live readings in conjunction to that. So get your questions in. Or if you just want to book a private session with me, it's scottcruzpm.com. So hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Anger is the gay way. I like it. Just kidding.
It is a gateway. Anger as a gateway.
That's easy.
I'm teaching people, get pissed off. That's the way. Yeah, that's my new mantra now. Get pissed off. No, I'm kidding. But no, we can use it as a gateway. Is the point?
Yeah, totally. I think you're right. It's certainly a transformative point. It's certainly a point where you burn the whole fucker down and you start over. You know what I mean? Like,
people are afraid of anger. They're afraid to be angry. They're like, oh, I shouldn't be that way. They judge themselves. They got a little angry. Then instead of looking at it, people are just like, I can't get angry. No. It's like, well, let's use that energy if it's there. You know, I can't run away from it.
Well, no, I've had repressed anger. That's been most of my issue. But that came from letting anger take me over in past lives. So it's like back and forth. All right, it's time now to get to our topic of the day, which is the Niwi equation. We're in the Leo season, but we just had a full moon in Aquarius. And the idea here is, how can we balance the equation in serving humanity? It's particularly the ego-heart balance. That's, where we must find, I think, the path, right? What's interesting is that the ego-heart balance, like when you look at the step system, when you ascend to the master level, is at step 19. And step 19 is when the heart, which is step 1, and the ego, step 9, come together to form a 10, where they actually have a baby. And that's like the secret. The secret is that the ego must serve the heart, and therefore it is a perfect balance of equation, because the heart will never ask for too much, and the heart always knows what it needs, and the ego is the part of us that fulfills it. So I think the problem has been, to simplify the problems of humanity, is that the ego went outside the self to bring the heart joy. If the ego turns inward toward the heart, that's to me the example of ego-heart balance. The ego must serve the heart. And that's not an easy thing to start, but it does work amazingly afterwards. What do you say about ego-heart balance, buddy?
I'm repetitive about this. I've talked about it before, but those who maybe have not heard me say it before, I always say, people always talk about killing the ego. And I'm like, no, we have the ego for a reason. We got to nurture the ego, understand its place, so then we can actually come from the heart, right? And so, but the ego is a protection mechanism, right? And so that's survival mode. And so if you're always in ego, you're always in survival mode, you're not thriving. The soul and heart is in thrive mode. So we got to understand what the ego is there for, so we can put it in balance. But a lot of that protecting, the ego and heart comes from setting boundaries. We got to set the boundaries, know what we can take, what we don't need to be taking. And that also means, what we're surrounding ourselves with and by whom and what we're hearing and all that stuff. We have to set the parameters of what we want the flow to be in our lives. So yeah, the first, to that would be is to set the proper boundaries to protect your energy. And protecting your energy and power, Christopher, also means that you're not just giving it away and you're not allowing people to take advantage of it either, and not exhausting it in, one channel. And so we have to be aware of people who are taking advantage or not appreciating or taking for granted, and that's putting that protection of our own power too. So we can channel that in a way where it's appreciated and valued, and so many people are giving it to people that just are taking advantage. It's like, wow, you're just enabling somebody. You're not really giving any type of benefits to somebody else, but if they're just taking.
Yeah, it's true. I think I'm not sure where that comes from, but somewhere. When you don't value yourself, you feel like you have to give it away in order to, make up for what someone else would have gotten. But I agree. I mean, that's the secret of step zero. Step zero is everything starts with step zero, which is drawing the boundaries. So Scott, to your credit, your step system says if you don't draw the boundary, you don't have anything anyways.
Right.
You have to draw the boundary from the get-go and set the laws from the get-go, and don't even start until the laws are set. And that's zero, ironically, zero, which is invisible, which is nothing till it's something. It's so perfectly the number for it, because you're nothing until you decide the definition of nothing. You know what I mean? And then once you do, you can be something. So I agree. You have to set those boundaries and be flexible with them and enforce them. And you'd be surprised as soon as you set them how quickly people obey to them, because there's so few people use boundaries that most people subconsciously adhere to them and don't even know.
Right. Well, and I like to say, even just not so, because boundaries has been so overused, I like to say parameters. Like, what is the parameters of what is your threshold? Because, we get to understand, like, I'm here with my power. Maybe I don't have the ability and the threshold to, serve it to so many people. So I got to reserve my power to certain aspects so I can preserve it and grow it and nurture it. And so I say, if we understand our parameters and our threshold, we can actually, understand how we can grow our strengths and our talents, skill sets, spiritual gifts, and so forth, So, I think we have to understand protecting it is setting the parameters of such. I think people think boundaries. They think it's just walls or blocks. When we say boundaries, I think people take it that way. I got to shut down. It's like, no, you're just setting a parameter. Yeah,
it's true. You set up a parameter. You're setting up guidelines, and you're setting up laws
and threshold.
Honestly, and boundaries are actually what makes reality, because we are everything in heaven, and we just draw a circle around just a tiny part of us to come experience that one part of us. And so, drawing that circle, that zero is important. So here's another one: knowing when to take the spotlight and when to be in the searchlight, highlighting others. So when you take the spotlight and when you highlight others, I guess, where's the me, we in that?
Where are you seeing that? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's I'm not sure it's on page 2. I don't know. I don't know what page it is. But anyways, it's in the script. I'll tell you this.
Well, it's about being. I think the next thing about boundaries and protection, right, is because you can find your passion in that parameter, right? And so sometimes you get passionate. We can be fiercely passionate, where we can become all an ego, or we can become very passionate too, in a sense that we're more about into the productivity of our heart expansion. So passion can go so many different directions, especially if you've been deprived of experience. That passion can bring out ego, like I said before, knowing the ego and the heart. And so when you're passionate about something, understand the value it's bringing to you, but other people as well, that you're not the shit, that you're not of course better than anybody else. Because a lot of people, I'll say this, Christopher, I don't know if you have this, when you find your spiritual power and you start seeing things change and affect it, a lot of people go in ego mode. Look what I can do. I'm going to, and so when you remind yourself of the true passion of it all, then you become more, I would say, positively, friendly, passionate, not fiercely ego passionate, if that's what they were trying to say.
I think everything already has a natural order. So I'm always been about, sharing the spotlight. First of all, it gives you a break, because being in the spotlight is a lot of work. You got to say the right things, everything's on you. It can be a little intense. You want to break. You want to pass the searchlight around. And
they do next, they wear next, so it's a constant pressure of yeah,
it is. So you really don't want to have to always have it on you. Really, once you've had it on you enough, let's put it this way: once you've had your fill of having the attention, then you don't want it all the time, because you realize that it's not as important as you thought it was. I mean, this is sort of the Leo story right now. Leos are realizing that the attention from people just loving them for no reason is not as nice as them giving themselves attention. That's where they've evolved. And that's true.
And now we're aquas. Now us aquas have to be like, putting ourselves in the spotlight. You know what I mean? It's like, you would tell me since you first met me, like, you got to put yourself out. I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I'm good. Like, I just express what I want to express. And so now I recognize that spotlight has to be able to, I have to embrace that to expand my work more, so online, right? And so, but yeah, it's difficult. But I understand the passion behind it creates that parameter for me to want to do it more. Makes it more fiery,
It's fun. And it's not every lifetime. Like I said, I think there's a balance of lifetimes. I go into deep hiding in lives, and I go into spotlighting others, You come in and out of it. Okay, so how can you have humility without hiding? I have a way for this, if you don't.
Oh, you and I were both two different segments.
No, I'm just looking it all together. We only have 8 minutes. So
I know, I'm blending other things. But humility about hiding, that's actually what we were just saying, because, I love what I do, and I love, bringing what I do, but people don't see online to online. Like, 2 years now, I've been on YouTube now, and so I've been working my craft for 12 years, and no one really saw what I've done. So I always feel like it's the passion as well. People who know what I do, like friends of mine, or heard about, but then I can actually see what I do. And so to me, it's like the humility stands just wanting to help and to want to focus on the passion. But and again, there's a power behind when you know from the heart where your power is. You're naturally, very humble about it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be cocky because, like you said, Christopher, you're channeling energy that's already created. So, again, so you could be, in the spotlight, like I said before, because the passion will drive you there, and that when the ego's in the right position, then it will push you out, like, go do it. You're fine. You're good at what you do. And so, yeah, I kind of like that humility without hiding, but that's how I would say I've accomplished that.
I think that a poor man's humility is to put yourself down and to throw it down like, oh, that's nothing. Oh, I did nothing. It was, like to like shit on what you're good at is like a really cheap humility. But what I found the best humility is just honesty. It's like, yeah, I own what I'm good at. I'm fucking good at this, this, and this, but I suck at this and this and this. Like, to just be honest, my humility is that, I can't tie my shoes. Like, that's my humility. Like, there's stuff that if you're good at some stuff, you suck at others. And so I just always admit what I'm challenged by alongside what I'm great at. And I own what I'm great at, and I own what I suck at. And I think that's humility, how I practice. It took a long time to get to that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know your power, but know your limitations too. That's what I was saying about boundaries and the threshold. When you set boundaries, you'll understand it. Well, I can't take this. I can't tolerate that. So therefore, you can actually not have to put yourself in the line where you're just self-sabotage yourself or cause any type of, unnecessary negative energy because of the fact you didn't know your parameters. So yeah, it's important to know what your limitations are. But I think people are afraid to say that. I think that in the New Age community, it's like, don't talk about your limitations. Like, no, you can acknowledge what is fact, but then you can grow and evolve out of it too. I mean, knowing is the power.
One thing the best thing about my job is that, I know the insides of everybody, like so many people, so many stories, so many people sharing with me all their shit, people they've murdered. I'm just kidding, but things like that. And because of that, I know the truth. Everybody is bad at something. Everyone's struggling. Every famous person I've read, every leader I've read, every powerful person, they all are fucked up somewhere. Oh yeah, I've never seen anyone not. So seeing that truth that everyone has something wrong, I think we just need to come out of the closet and be like, look, you can't be good at everything. You just can't. Life's too big. And so if we just own what we're good at and own what we suck at, I think the whole world will be an easier place to live in. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you even look at people online, people who are trying to even fake that they have everything going on. They fake the good relationships. They fake all that stuff. And all these influencers come out saying they were like in prison, they like got divorced, and all this like stuff coming out about influencers faking it. And it's not to say everyone's doing shitty, but what we're saying is we're all trying to get it. We're all trying to understand stuff. We're all trying to figure things out. So like, be easy on yourselves, and this you can evolve and have that pleasure of the evolution of what you're doing and how you are. And then life becomes very enjoyable. And then you start participating in ways that you never thought you would,
Yeah, totally. And, I have my theories on that, but we have to do another commercial for our paid sponsors. Keep streaming.
Hello, I'm Sanandra, founder of Sichi Organics. We are celebrating our 30th year anniversary as a small business with simple, clean, organic skin and hair care made with love. To celebrate our 30-year anniversary, enter code word JOY30 at checkout and you'll receive 30% off any individual Sichi skin and hair care product.
Happy anniversary, Sichi!
Aloha! I'm Mary, and I'm inviting you to experience the mystical world of the tarot with me. As a tree-hugging dirt worshiper, a retired wildlife biologist, and a sprite of the forest, my readings take you into the realms of elemental creativity to unearth a deeper awareness for those big decisions that you have in life. The first 50 viewers to email me with the coupon code below and book a reading will receive 50% off that reading. I can't wait to see what the cards have in store for you. Mahalo nui loa.
Ooh, the border light. And I love seeing that people are, readers are advertising on our show now, man.
Give me a run for my money. I love it.
Oh, I think, when it comes to readers, there's no competition. Like people
No,
are
of course
drawing
not.
people.
Of course not.
You're
I
drawing,
always
they have the answer. They have your answer. Your guys want to work with them. Yeah.
there's not enough. I don't think there's enough readers. I mean, I think that
No.
we need more, and there needs to be. I like more good ones, not the TikTok versions. Because I've had clients come in that book readings of TikTok readers have millions of subs, and they were awful. They were so wrong, and they were so expensive. So we need more authentic readers, and so because we all have different voices, we all have different ways to portray the message that people need to hear. So this way, you don't have people going to 10 psychics at a time because they're not finding one that resonates with them. So we need more readers that have unique voices that can resonate with those who really need to hear it.
Yeah, there's always that. I mean, but there's medical doctors that are hooks, too. It's like every profession has their percentage of, bullshitters. You know what I mean? We just don't care.
Christopher, how many times? I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of clients come to you as I as well about how they're not getting the answers from their doctors, or misprescribed, or wrong direction, and 3 doctors with 3 different opinions, 3 different the diagnosis, and so the last people they come is to us psychics because they feel like they're not getting answers in the physical.
Yeah.
So
it's true. Yeah, and as far as finding good ones, you gotta listen to your heart. Not listen to your. I think a lot of times people buy readings to the people who are popular because they want to meet the person, and it's just a way you can meet the person, get in front of the person, and and those people don't always have. They don't. I mean, it resonates on camera. If you're not helped by their show, well, then you won't be helping a reading either. I'll just say that. So Leo Tolstoy and everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves. That was paraphrased. He said that everyone wants to change the world, but not themselves. How can we change the world and make it better? Is it just by focusing on ourselves? That's a big question here, and we wrap up the show. What do you think, brother?
Right. And I kind of threw those tidbits in here with the previous because I feel like we can juggle the two because of the time. So I kind of went over. Yeah. You see in our outline here.
Yeah. And I went to script.
Right. No, we don't have a script. We have an outline. Yeah, we have an outline.
You were doing Act 3 and 4 in a multidimensional Aquarius way,
right? Because I'm a timing's short, so I want to get it all in. But we don't have a script, we have an outline. We're channeling our perspectives here, so people know we're not scripted, we're just outlined. But but the ways, I mean, you have to focus on self and the collective. I think people are always trying to pick one or the other. Is it me or them? It's both. It's you and them. And so I think if we develop that, this and that mentality, not this or that mentality, we probably would find more balance. Time for ourselves, time for others, and understanding the parameters, like we said before, setting the boundaries. Right, finding our passion, right, and all that stuff, and then understanding our purpose, then we can actually be contributing on both aspects. But if you're depriving yourself and you're all about other people, then you have to understand you got to probably go the extreme and focus on just yourself for a while. So I would say if you've been focusing on other people only, then you have to take a break from that and go only on you for a while till you find the balance of the two. But you have to be both, like me and them. It's so. And you agree, and I'm sorry to be long-winded, Christopher, but you and I both agree. When we come from the heart, we naturally want to share it. That becomes a natural, process that we come from the heart, do that inner work, that we naturally want to share it and express it and participate with others. We become naturally focused that way.
I'm going to go quantum on this and say the world is you. I think, again, that we are asleep right now in heaven, and this is a simulation game, and that we're in this game, and that everyone in the game has been being drawn by your mind. So if anything, you got to focus on the me, because the me is what creates the we. I think the way you treat yourself is the way the world will treat you, period. The way you treat yourself is the way the world will treat you. You just don't pay attention to how shitty you are to yourself, how cold you are, how cutting you are, how mean you are, how you steal from yourself. I was having an issue with people stealing from me recently. I've never been stolen from my entire life. And I was like, what the fuck? Why I have good karma? I've only stole a piece of candy when I was 5 years old. That one story. And I realized I've been stealing from myself. I've been stealing from my heart. I've been stealing. I was stealing from myself. I was stealing from my heart to pay off other things. And so the world was reflecting that. So I think the me leads to the we. I think the we is the me. I think it's all about me, period. Honestly, think about it. If we are currently, even if you believe that it's not a video game, you must believe, do you believe you're in heaven right now, or do you believe you're on earth? Where are you? Right? And maybe you do go between the two worlds. But as soon as you get to, back to heaven, it's all me, which is a we. It is always the way it is. So I think it's the connection of that we are the world. And if you treat yourself really well, I think you do good for the whole world.
You've been dropping songs left and right today.
We are the world. I'm gonna do the we are the children. Yeah,
but I agree with that. I mean, because when people have NDEs, they always say they didn't feel they didn't feel separate from anything. Everything felt
Right.
connected, all one energy that have a perspective of. And so, I think we're here to play the individual game, but also understand the individuality through the collective. And I think it's important to understand the synchronicity of both aspects, right? And so I just want to say thank you to Metaphysical Mike, who sent a super chat for loving my hair. So thank you for that, Metaphysical Mike. I got a super chat there.
And I want to thank CT Organics actually for being here today and for sponsoring us and being one of our sponsors. I feel like at the end of the day, when we give to ourselves, and we raise our own vibe in an authentic and loving way, we help everyone around us. Right. And that's just, I think, the secret of it. I think we're here to do that. And boundaries are a big part of it too. But, but only the start of the part, right? The start part.
The start of the part.
Yeah. The start of the part. Yeah. It's time to live. So I think honestly, like the parting phrase here, because we're coming to the end of our show time, for me is, when you live your serious joy, this is really why I started Serious Joy. I'll just say with this, promoting myself at the same time. I had a lot of things like to title my show. My title used to be Soul Garden. And I was like, oh, Soul Garden's awesome because it's where our soul can grow. But then I realized, wait a second, that's not changing the world. What'll change the world is if we go after what we want, which is joy. Like if you pursue your joy, your serious joy, you'll do everyone a favor. Everyone a favor because people will want it. People want to help you. They want their joy. Everyone wants their joy. So seriously, in this last week of Leo, pursue your joy. That's the best thing you can do for everyone in the whole world. Not stepping on people and get along the way. You don't have to step on anyone. Because as soon as you enjoy yourself now, a step comes up to enjoy yourself next.
I agree. And when we come from that heart too, we get to understand our karma, trials, tribulations, whatever you call it. Then we also understand that and have the compassion for others too, to understand why they're being, why people are expressing themselves the way they are, why they're experiencing the way they are. We become more objective and unaffected is what I always say is the goal. Because when we're objective and unaffected, we can understand things a lot better without judgment, and we can lead, and then we can revel in our joy in that way. Yeah. So I want to tag team with you on that a little bit too, to kind of give a dual point of view on that. Because I think that people, are judging themselves too much, and then they judge others, and that's keeping them from experiencing that joy because they're not being objective and unaffected.
Judgment is so lame. It doesn't do anything. I mean, measure out your judgment. Measure it out. It does no good. It does nothing. To give yourself a brand or a label or to assign yourself, first of all, you're only judging yourself in that moment. Since that moment, there's been moments. So it's already dead. It means nothing. It stops you. It does no good. No one's keeping fucking score. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a fine line between judgment and shame. There's a fine line between the two.
And shame?
Yeah, there's a fine line between judgment and shame. Because a lot of times we end up just shaming ourselves for things that we did and judging ourselves. Yeah. So we sometimes end up just shaming ourselves because of the judgment. So that's what I'm saying. There's a fine line between the two. It's like, are you judging yourself and then just end up just shaming yourself, unintentionally? And so I just see a lot of people walking around with shame.
I think
things they did or not doing.
That's all the church too. There weren't any caveman going, no. There weren't caveman going, shame on you. That came out with the whole, Christianity and Judaism and the whole, like, your God doesn't like you kind of thing. And here's the thing. We're still buying that bullshit. We're still making it happen. It's like, stop shaming yourself. God doesn't shame you at all. You're completely embraced. I heard a near-death experience over the weekend. I had dinner with someone, and great guy. He told me this amazing fucking near-death story I've never heard before. All kinds of different miracles in it. But at the end of the day, like, the lesson was, all there is joy. There is nothing else but joy in heaven. There is nothing else in the universe but joy. We are in an illusion where pain exists because it's interesting. Why is it interesting? Because all we have is joy. The reality is all we have is joy. This is all an illusion, pain, and it only happens here on Earth. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the universe. So think about that, kids. All right, that's all we have for reading out loud. Don't forget to, actually, that's your line. That's all for this week. Next week, we'll be talking about unmasking the mic and finding our true voice.
Interesting. And don't forget to check out my live show tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, talking about anger as a gateway. I'm doing live readings, so check me out tomorrow night. I hope to see you guys there.
And I'm on Friday at 8 p.m. with Namaste Today Live. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. And at 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll have our Astro Mingle. Until then, don't let anyone shame you. Lead out loud.
Lead out loud. Good night, guys.
Wow.
There it is.
We got to redo the open. We got to retire Fat Chris.
Yeah, and the Bald Scott.
And that's right. Fat Chris and Bald Scott. You're right.
Yeah.
Maybe we should use one frame and we should look at each other and like.
Right. I'm a Leo now with my hair, with my
Right out
mane.
loud. I know. That's so funny. Yeah. Well,
We'll brainstorm.
Yeah. We'll brainstorm, all right.
Coming up next week on Serious Joy TV. Join Sensei Christopher and tune in to Astro Mingle for special guest Megan of Solar Glow Meditations. Known for exploring the universe by asking spirit questions through dowsing rods, Megan has become TikTok's go-to dowsing rod expert, offering simple yes or no answers to life's most profound questions. The best in enlightened entertainment, only on Serious Joy TV.